House Bill 1947 is also known as the Statute of Limitations Bill. In October, that bill failed to be put up for a final vote in the House in Harrisburg. Now, the first Statute of Limitations bill was introduced last April. It followed the grand jury report accusations of priest sex abuse in the Altoona-Johnstown Diocese. The bill would have eliminated criminal and civil statutes of limitations, meaning it would allow more time for an alleged victim to sue or press charges against someone they say abused them. The bill was seen as a way suspected abusers could still be held accountable after many years. An amendment of the bill overwhelmingly passed in the House, 180 to 15. That was in April, but the bill faced scrutiny when it moved to the Senate. The main sticking point was retroactivity of the law. It would have opened the window for past alleged victims to sue their alleged abusers and their alleged abusers' places of employment. The bill was stripped of that retroactivity language, unanimously sent back to the House, but was never really voted on, killing the bill in the last session. 6 News Investigates' Kody Leibowitz looked into the current status of this bill. Kody?
Right, Jen, that main sticking point, the retroactivity. Those accusations, the alleged crimes, the bill itself evokes strong emotions. Victims and some state prosecutors want to see a change to the statute of limitations. Tonight, I look into what happened to that bill last session, where reform potentially stands going into this year.
Heartfelt pleas.
The statute of limitations bill, a contentious one for lawmakers last year. Then known as House Bill 1947, the bill ultimately failed.
It's very much like a David and Goliath thing. We are outgunned.
Mark Singal is the president of the Winter Group. Singal is a former lieutenant governor under Governor Bob Casey in the late 1980s to mid-1990s. Now he's a contract lobbyist and consultant. He represented the Foundation to Abolish Child Sex Abuse for more than 5 years. It's a group fighting for statute of limitations reform. But his firm's relationship with the group ended in December. He says they are not engaged with the foundation this session, saying the reality is, quote, they ran out of money. He says his group spent $0 lobbying on this issue last year. The Pennsylvania Catholic Conference, or PCC, is an advocacy group for Catholic dioceses in our state. The Insurance Federation of Pennsylvania is a nonprofit trade association. Singal says both advocated against portions of a bill Singal's group fought to pass, the statute of limitations bill.
They have their representatives crawling the Hill on a regular basis, and it shows. It shows. I think that the actions in the Senate reflect a full court press by the Catholic Conference, by the Insurance Federation to prevail.
And I was asked to testify today on behalf of the Pennsylvania Insurance Federation and the Pennsylvania Catholic Conference on the reviver provision.
In June, during a hearing for this bill, an attorney testified against changing the statute of limitations. That attorney, Kerry Silverman, openly identified himself as being there at the request of the Insurance Federation and the Pennsylvania Catholic Conference.
I work with these folks, and they're doing their job as best they can. But I do think that both entities are pouring a lot of money into an effort that is misguided.
Between April and September of 2016, when the statute of limitations bill was in the spotlight, records with the Department of State show the Pennsylvania Catholic Conference spent nearly $342,000 on lobbying a number of issues in Harrisburg. The Insurance Federation spent $1.1 million. But 6 News Investigates cannot determine exactly how that money was spent. Current Pennsylvania law doesn't require those details released. The current reporting system only shows money spent towards direct communication with lawmakers, indirect communication, and gifts, hospitality, lodging, and transportation, as well as a list of general lobbying subjects. It doesn't reveal who lobbyists and groups spoke with, time spent with lawmakers, and money spent on lobbying subjects or towards a particular bill.
There's been a lot of pushback from various lobbying groups and special interest groups that have a financial interest in this. They don't want to have huge payouts.
Our questions to the Insurance Federation about its opposition to retroactivity have gone unanswered. As 6 News reported in November, insurance dollars and diocesan funds pay for claims of child sex abuse against clergy members. But the PCC has kept no secret on how it feels about the defeat of HB 1947 with retroactivity. In April last year, it posted a lengthy message on its website. In it, the executive director of PCC said, quote, Nothing in the proposed Pennsylvania legislation would send any perpetrators to jail. Rather, it will put individual parishes and neighborhood Catholic schools in the firing line for lawsuits that are nearly impossible to defend against. The PCC refused to comment on camera for this story. Instead, a spokesperson sent a long statement which reads in part, quote, "We do share concerns along with the business community about how a retroactive measure will conflict with the Pennsylvania Constitution. No matter the final resolution with House Bill 1947, the Catholic Church will continue to keep its sincere commitment to the emotional well-being of individuals who have been impacted by the crime of childhood sexual abuse, no matter how long ago the crime was committed." You can read that full statement on our website.
The underlying crime here has never been permissible, acceptable, or legal in Pennsylvania and never will be. So that's why I supported the retroactivity for any private or public institution that was engaged in this.
Now, the fight to reform the statute of limitations for child sex abuse isn't over. There's currently one bill and two proposed bills this session to reform statute of limitations. The Senate just passed Senate Bill 261 last week. It's exactly like the final version of House Bill 1947 that passed in the Senate last session. There's no retroactivity. The criminal and civil statute of limitations would be eliminated. Victims could sue their alleged abusers whenever, but could only sue the employer of their abuser until they turn 50. Meanwhile, in the House, Representative Ron Marsico introduced a bill similar to the original statute of limitations bill that he introduced last session, as well as Representative Mark Rossi also plans to introduce